This one is on the rise of the rate of guaranteed superannuation. And I've got 3 former Prime Ministers and Josh Frydenberg, the Treasurer. Let's go.
We will consider this report. We will consider other views that have been placed out there, and we'll make a decision about that in light of current circumstances before that scheduled increase takes place. I note that that this report is one voice, but there have been many others in this space, including the Governor of the Reserve Bank, who's pointed out very clearly the trade-off between a person's wages and the superannuation guarantee. The Grattan Institute has pointed out that trade-off as well, and we will make a decision by that time next year. The key point also to underline here is that we are living in a very different economic environment than we were this time last year. We've been subject as a nation, indeed as a global economy, to a once-in-a-century economic shock with COVID-19. That has had a major impact on employment, on wages, on the labour market more generally, as well as the economy. And so we need to make decisions based on the economic facts at the time.
Oh yeah, using the pandemic as cover. Let's go back to 2014, shall we?
You said that there would be no adverse changes to superannuation in this term. Isn't this an adverse change, and isn't that a broken promise?
No, it's not. It's not an adverse change. No one is going backwards. No one is going backwards. We did take into the election a 2-year pause. This is a somewhat larger pause, a somewhat longer pause.
First of all, I just want to say Josh Frydenberg seems like a terrible liar. Seems like he knows he's talking shit, because when a big part of your argument can be absolutely ruined by an old clip from a dude that's on your team, oh, not very good, Josh. And I thought I'd split this table at the year closest to the time I'm recording this onto the next former Prime Minister.
We've had the Morrison government rip out $40 billion plus from people's existing superannuation accounts. And the reason why they've done that is because they haven't had an economic policy alternative other than to say to working families, if you're doing it tough as a result of the COVID crisis, then you can go and raid your super. Well, that's all very fine and dandy. But when those working people then go and retire in the decades ahead, they will have gutted their retirement income. And that's because this government has allowed them to do that, and in fact forced them to do that in the absence of an economic policy alternative.
And I think Kevin makes a very important point there, because when Josh started talking about the coronavirus's impact on superannuation, my first thought was, hang on, didn't you let people get their super early?
The government is gearing up to use the COVID health emergency to destroy the superannuation system. Not take a chink out of it, to actually destroy it. And they're intending to do this in 2 ways. That is, they want to drain the money out of the bottom of the system and stop money coming into the top of the system. In other words, superannuation is a bit like a bath. The water in the bath are the savings. So the government is taking the plug out of the bath. We've now already lost $40 billion in these early access things, and then they're turning the tap off at the top of the bath to stop the extra 2.5% super coming in. And they say, oh, this is all because we've got a national emergency and the economy can't afford to pay this amount.
I quite like Keating's bath metaphor, and this next part should make you mad.
The parliamentarians are paying themselves 15.6%. So ordinary working people get 9.5%. The Parliament has said in legislation, by the way, you can have 12 over 5 years. And the Liberal Party is saying it's too good for them. It's too good for them. Let's push them back to 9.5 while we take 15.6. So all of those baby-faced Liberals who are out there attacking the SG all the time, they're going home every week with 15.6% super, and the 12% that the Parliament, dare I mention the Parliament, has legislated for 12 percentage points. They're saying too good for them. Let's push them back to 9.5. I mean, the gall of it. I mean, the heartlessness of it, the unfairness of it, and of course the breach of the election promise of it.
Yeah, if you keep in mind how percentages work, that should make you real mad. Especially when you remember how much more they would get paid than the average Australian worker. Now, I found a ABC clip on this topic that I feel the need to correct, and I'll go into more detail about all of this in that video. This one is just so it can all marinate. But yeah, just a reminder, I've got my problems with all political parties in Australia, and I do not have any superannuation of my own. But hey, this channel is for calling out politicians' lies. I'll see you next time.